Hey listeners, welcome to today's episode of Show Me Your Hustle. Today I'm sitting down with Daly. Dan, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're currently working on.
Well, where do I start? I've got my hands on a lot of different things. Started my earlier career as a physical therapist, and then a snowmobiling friend back in '08 from Utah said, hey, you need to come into the tech side of the house and do some agency recruiting. And immediately I was like, no, I'm not an empty suit. I can't do the sales thing. And I ended up closing a couple deals back in '08 when the market was really down. And funny, Ashley, it turned out being about 80% of my annual salary just in a couple deals. So I was like, well, I guess I'll moonlight. And I started working both coasts from Utah. I'd work the East Coast in the morning, go out and see my patients, and then in the afternoon I'd work the California market. And '09 I went full time, and I haven't worked with a patient since. Since that time, I've left Utah a couple years ago. I'm back here on the coast of Maine in New England. Busy with town politics. I'm a selectman here on the local select board, as well as involved in budget advisory committee for Washington County. I've got a bison ranch. Properties just diversified. You know, we're getting into that Airbnb short-term rental thing as well. So that's me kind of in a nutshell.
That's awesome. Let's dive in. 2009, you start recruiting, and how did you get there? Like, how did you know that was going to be your full time? What was your big pivot into that?
I didn't know, and I actually wasn't looking for a change at the time, but my best friend and business partner, Scott Robinson at Big 3 Consulting, just kept at me about it and really gave me the support and kind of the bandwidth to learn and ramp. And but I will tell you, we've talked before, agency recruiting is not for the faint of heart. I mean, it is, you know, it's 100% commission, and that's not for everybody. So I've done that full time since 2009, and I'll tell you what, it has been life-changing. It's opened up endless opportunities for me and my family. There's some ups and downs. You know, I'd love to talk to you about, you know, what I'm seeing since late 22 to now, especially around startups and how they're funded. But yeah, it's been a great run. Really has.
Yeah, that's where I was going next. So that's the perfect segue. Let's jump into there. Like, what market trends are you seeing? I know the job market's tight, everyone's looking. Like, what are you seeing right now?
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting market, and I've seen this drop off since Q3 of 22. I've been heavily entrenched within the omni-channel commerce or digital e-commerce platform ecosystem since 2008, and have really built out pretty much every single e-com platform provider here in the US and Canada and some of EMEA since. What happened was COVID, overinvestment in talent, talent demanding the world and getting it, and the VCs and PEs that fund my ecosystem, the startup world, had enough, in my opinion. And I don't think it's even speculative. I've read a lot of the analyst reports as well, and when you've got borrowing rates that tripled since COVID, and a number of tech companies that just haven't been able to bridge that chasm and figure it out. So we've got a plethora of really talented people still on the tech market, a joblessness, if you would. And we're all waiting for the rates to potentially drop, and hopefully we'll see a reinvestment in tech.
Yeah.
I think that's really what needs to happen.
Yeah. Do you feel like that's coming soon? Do you feel like there's like a big hire? Do you think AI is starting to take over some of that?
AI, in my mind, AI's intent is to automate every aspect of our lives.
Yeah.
To some degree, or to a greater degree than most people think. AI has definitely affected pipeline development and some go-to-market strategies, marketing. I say if I'm going to remain in recruiting, I need to be an AI subject matter expert in order to compete and leverage that technology. But it absolutely has had an effect on tech, and I think that was the intent. Mm-hmm. Was to really automate a number of these different motions that they were hiring endlessly and not getting the return, where you can literally type it into Chat GPT or even in the recruiting world, pin.com, and it'll literally do 80% of the job.
Yeah. I actually read an interesting article that's like, it's nearly impossible to get hired now because of AI unless you know somebody. Because everyone's resumes are flawless. Like there was a day, probably in '09 where it's like you didn't have indents, you're coming out of college and they're teaching resume writing. And now it's like Well, ChatGPT is just busting out flawless resumes and cover letters. So, what's your advice, or what are you looking for when recruiting?
I mean, there's a number of good points there. When you talk about resume writing, I think that industry's done. Like, I knew a couple
Yeah.
really good resume writers that I would refer candidates, clients to. I mean, you can literally take your resume and throw it in ChatGPT, and you can refine that any way you want.
Right.
To me, it's still a little robotic, and the big giveaway usually is the emojis.
Or the dashes.
But yeah, but I definitely feel that has absolutely affected hiring. And then to your point, they're using AI to screen out about 98% of all
Yeah.
applicants.
Yeah.
I have internal recruiters that I remain close with, and they'll post a job, and they've told me within a matter of an hour or two, they'll have about 400 or 500 applicants.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's so much noise, Ashley, that you can't differentiate.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have a champion to leverage, you might as well just go outside and just burn your resume in the fire pit. It's the same. It's the same result.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you aren't leveraging champions, if you aren't in contact like at the C level with PE and VCs, you're not going to get a look. You're just not. And it doesn't matter how good you are. To your point, there are bots that are just ruling people out for even a grammatical error on a resume.
Yeah. Right.
So yeah, if you're not working with an internal person, you are not going to get a look.
Yeah.
Period.
So interesting. What do you think about LinkedIn and like people's presence on LinkedIn? Is that helpful, or what are you looking for when you're talking or sourcing candidates?
Yeah, very in this market more than ever, specificity and being targeted is huge.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean embellish, it just means the hiring managers, they have a checkbox list of 10. If you don't meet 10 out of 10, you're not getting a look.
Yeah.
You're just not. Beyond that, I just continue to say that LinkedIn to me feels more and more commoditized. I think since Microsoft bought them,
Mm-hmm.
to me it's nothing more than a job board now.
Yeah.
You've got to be leveraging the AI tools. You've got to be leveraging some of the newer technology. To me, LinkedIn is more like Monster was. It's a corporate recruiting tool.
Right.
And again, there's just so much outbound noise. Unless you have a network already, it's really hard to differentiate. Really hard.
Right.
Yep.
What other trends with startups are you seeing out there? Like, what are the big jobs or the new trend with AI?
Well, I can tell you what I'm seeing, and it doesn't mean it's gospel, but in my world, anything data related, master data management, data governance, cybersecurity, and of course, the ever popular AI industry, I don't feel that companies have figured out how to monetize AI technology yet.
Yeah.
So we're not seeing the type of growth that everybody expected for the last 2 years. Cybersecurity, data governance, even content, I'm seeing a bump, digital experience. Again, where I've lived for the last near 20 years, digital e-commerce, I feel like it's a race to the bottom, unfortunately. There's some very, very talented people in that ecosystem. But there was an overinvestment in that industry. We've got just a couple of companies that are now still making noise, but the rest are just struggling. And I think part of that too is retailers are afraid to spend.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, overall, those couple domains that I mentioned still seem robust.
What advice do you have for somebody who is looking, or what does the hustle for them look like now?
Yeah, if they've been out
Not
of work for a
applying-
year, there's a couple things that managers just are intolerant to. Joblessness for over a year, they don't care the circumstances. It's just,
Yeah.
hey, you've been out for 12 months, there must be a reason, you know?
Right.
Other hurdles have just been, again, not having the background that manager is looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Really, it's been, I think, probably one of the more difficult markets where the hiring managers have been so specific. There's a ton of really talented people on the market, and yet day in and day out, a lot of these searches feel like just a fruitless fishing expedition. And
Yeah.
a lot of the clients, they have someone already in mind for a particular job, but they're still going to check the market and see if they're missing someone, you know. But it doesn't really help those recruiters on our side that are not a corporate recruiter. We're an agency firm.
Yeah.
We get paid when we hire people.
Right.
We're hoping that trend will change. And you asked earlier, you know, when? man, we have just projected and projected and projected. We've been wrong for 13 quarters.
Yeah.
I think it's finally going to turn around when we see a drop in the Fed rate, and maybe some stabilization around the tariffs in the global markets.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the funny thing too, because our economy, if you look at the big picture, doing well, but no one's talking about tech and how hard it's been hit for as long as it's been hit.
Yeah.
But my crystal ball is broken. I have no idea when that's going to flip. I really don't.
Yeah.
We've had to be very creative. We've had to get, we've leveraged a lot of our network and our existing leadership relationships, which has really helped us out through this last 13, 14 quarters.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to share on like tips that people should be doing, like to stay afloat, things like that?
Yep. Again, just modernize the resume. Make sure it matches LinkedIn, because people still go to LinkedIn to see, hey, does this timeline chronologically match with the resume? Who do I know that person knows, so I can do a quick back channel, make sure I'm not hiring the wrong person?
Yeah. You've
got to leverage your network. You've got to find someone in that company that you want to work for that can champion you. And if you don't, you're not getting a look. Outside of that, you got to treat a job search like it's a full-time job. But I do feel like blind submittal of resumes or profiles or LinkedIn profile, not going to do it. You might as well, you're just wasting time.
Yeah.
Leverage recruiters. I get a lot of people that I'll place multiple times throughout their career that have come back to me either asking for help or seeing if I can help one of their peers. But again, that just kind of goes back to leveraging your network and your champions where you can.
Right. All right, I want to ask a few questions a little bit. So, side hustles, you have a lot going on. Your Airbnbs, full-time recruiter, Buffalo. I feel like this is like the epitome of like side incomes right now and side hustles and managing everything. Yeah. How'd you get started there?
Yes, it's a good question. And it's, as I age, I'm 53 just a week ago, I just think of passive income. And I love recruiting. I really do. I enjoy being ridiculously busy. That's just my MO. That's how my mind operates. I'm not like most men. I know women are really good at this, but I can put up 15 applications and work all of them at the same time, be on the phone, have a conversation, have texting going, have messaging going, and remember all of it and not have a problem with it. So where we've been slower, it's opened up other opportunities for me to improve the community we live in as far as civic involvement. Like I said earlier, being a selectman, being on the budget advisory committee for the county. As far as the rentals, again, it was a means to an end. And it was really just about investing extra revenue that I had in creating passive revenue streams. So where I am on the coast of Maine, I think this is an important piece, having tourism driven to the area is a way to capitalize on the rental market, short-term rental market. Yeah. So we have a carriage house that I had built on a lot next door. We rent that out, and we're seasonal though. I mean, we're May to October, here on the coast of Maine. And then on another piece of property, it's 3 miles of shoreline and a couple of islands, and I have 6 or 7 rental cabins on peninsulas. Yeah. Beyond that, the bison, it's really a hobby, but it's a passion of mine. I mean, they are our national mammal. You look at what they've been through and kind of what we've done to them, and I feel like we kind of owe it to them. So it's an expensive hobby. It's very fulfilling. It's enriching. I can't tell you how many people in our community refer to them as our Lubeck bison because it is so uncommon. Yeah. But it's a lot of work. It really is. It's a ton of work. I've enjoyed it though. I really have. If you haven't worked with livestock, it's a different level of commitment, that most folks probably won't get to experience in their lifetime. Yeah. I love it. Well, Dan, thanks for sharing your hustle with me and some tips on the market right now. I really appreciate it. And I'm excited to just keep following along with your story. Likewise. Good to see that you're doing well. And hopefully we can catch up next time I'm out in Salt Lake. I'll be there probably December, January for a snowmobile trip. But awesome. Glad to see you're doing so well and you look so happy. And so good for you. Thanks, Dan.